I'm actually not wearing pants right now. Classic YouTuber. Yeah. You never quite realize how much older you are than the rest of the people at the convention until you go to VidCon prom and you see parents sitting on the side of the wall. Yeah, some of these kids were so young that their parents had to be there chaperoning them. It was just awkward. So let's talk about VidCon, shall we? So it was my first time at VidCon. It's actually something that I've been wanting to do for a really long time, and I actually had to put it on my bucket list so that it was something that I would never forget to not do. Double negatives. Fun. There were a lot of things that the VidCon team did really well, and there were a lot of things that VidCon did not so well. But for the sake of not making this video a sinkhole of negativity, I'm just going to focus on a few things that happened. The biggest problem we had was from the security team at the Anaheim Convention Center. There was clearly a lack of communication between the higher-ups and the people lower on the totem pole, and sometimes we'd ask security members what was going on, and they would just say, I don't even know. Even though they were telling us to do things, they were just kind of making things up off the top of their head based on what they thought was going on. So every day there was kind of a new problem. On the last day that we were there, they decided that they were going to have everyone file through one single file line through one door in the convention center. Now, the center was supposed to open at 9 o'clock and most of the panels started at 9:30, but because it was 18,000 people in one single file line with a severe lack of communication, a lot of us didn't even get in until an hour later. So they had to push a lot of panels back, schedules got all mixed up, everyone was angry because there were tons of people that were going into the signing hall, which was a separate hall entirely, and then people that wanted to go to the panels and the Q&As and the expo hall. And so all those people that were planning to wait 5 or 6 hours in signing lines were also clumped together with us, who we should have been able to go straight in, and we weren't, and it was weird. Speaking of lines, the signing lines on the first day were ridiculous. They were so chaotic, so unorganized, and so frustrating to be a part of that a lot of us just gave up and didn't end up going to see our favorite creators. What was supposed to happen was we were supposed to be able to line up an hour before the signing started. But what they allowed was that people lined up 5 or 6 hours ahead of time and got into this big mosh pit. And then there were little tiny individual lines pinned out in front of that. And the security team didn't know what was going on, so they were randomly picking people out of the big mosh pit to line up into each single file line. So you're basically waiting in this big mosh pit of like 5,000 people to maybe by chance get picked, if you were lucky enough, to go wait in another line, to then go wait in another line. And people who were waiting in line to see creators that were smaller and didn't have a lot of people were still stuck in this big mosh pit of thousands of screaming girls that just were there to see British boys. Now, segueing into the real content of this video, let's talk about those thousands of screaming fangirls. Now, I know that every year the VidCon team talks about wanting to expand VidCon and make it more inclusive to everyone, but with that comes a couple of problems. The exponential growth that VidCon has experienced in the past and likely will in the future is, in my opinion, not the best thing. When about 50% of the people there are screaming fangirls, it changes what VidCon is supposed to be about. It changes it from a convention of community to a convention of creating stars out of these content creators. VidCon is supposed to be a forum where we bridge the gap between content creator and viewer, where we listen to our favorite creators talk about their passions, and we're inspired by them, and we learn from them, and in turn they learn from us. It's a community-based convention. At one point this weekend, Joey Graceffa walked out into the convention hall, and girls were elbowing each other in the face to see him. That's ridiculous! So if VidCon continues to grow, it's going to be harder and harder to bridge that gap between content creator and viewer. It's gonna be like a Comic-Con where there's hundreds of thousands of people going, but it's not really a community thing. It's more of like a fan thing. Now, that being said, I am so glad that I got to experience this, and I got to experience it with 2 of my best friends in the whole world. Even though we were constantly running around and had to pay $15 for every meal we ate and had to go to plans B, C, D, and E after plan A didn't work, it was the best vacation I've had all summer. It was more of a vacation being there with them, running around and being crazy, than it has been all summer being at home with my family. Alright you guys, that is all that I wanted to say to you today. Hopefully I didn't bring you down too much and you still want to go to VidCon if that is something that you're interested in, because it really is a fun experience and it was a great time. We made the best of it even though there were some disappointments. I have a ton of new video ideas coming at you soon. VidCon inspired me to start making videos again, so I'm definitely going to get on that as fast as possible. So expect more of those soon, and I will see you later. Bye guys!